Hi, today we're going to read some more article about 3 articles from this book called Timeless Wisdom for Families Coming Home by Dr. James Dobson. The article title is Keeping the Boat Together. Imagine, if you will, two little rowboats setting off to cross a choppy lake. A man sits in one, and a woman rides blissfully in the other. They have every intention of rowing side by side, but then they begin drifting in opposite direction. They can hardly hear each other above the sound of the wave and wind. Soon the man finds himself at the northern end of the lake, and the woman bobs along at the south. Neither can recall how he or she drifted so far from the other, or what they should do to reconnect. The simple illustration has meaning for newlyweds who embark on life's journey. They stand at the altar and pledge to live together in love and harmony. Unfortunately, it doesn't always work that way. Unless their relationship is maintained and cultivated, it will grow distant and strange. In essence, that is why romantic little rowboats often drift towards opposite ends of the lake. The question to be raised is, how can husband and wife remain in the same proximity for a lifetime? The answer is to row like crazy, take time for romantic activities, think not of yourself but the other, avoid that which breeds conflicts and resentment, and listen carefully to the needs of the partner. They are the key to harmony and relationship. It is difficult to keep two rowboats floating along together, but it can be done if each partner is determined to row unless they're willing to paddle. However, the currents of culture will separate them forever. Now, I'm gonna put when they arrange a marriage, it's not like they went to see the boy and girl and done, we get married. No, they looked at the families, and then they looked at the birth chart, and they looked at the zodiac sign. So if they looked at the zodiac sign that these two will connect with each other. Now they looked at their driver number and conductor number. Driver number is your birth date. Like suppose you're born at the 13th, so your driver number is going to be 4 because 3 plus 1 is 4. Now the conductor number is the total of the birth date. Like suppose you're born on July 13, 1998. So you're gonna have to add all of them together. Now after this, the two numbers will come. One is driver, another is conductor. And they have to do same for the boy or the girl, whoever they're getting married to. And now they have to see if these numbers are friendly number or enemy to each other. And then comes the blood group in place too, because They have to see that these two people are not in the same blood group, because if they are, then they're going to produce some sick kids. So there are a lot of factors. Not like somebody likes somebody, okay, let's go get married tomorrow. It doesn't work that way. But now it works that way. People think that, oh, I like that person, I should just get married to that person, and we're just gonna live for happily ever after the end. This article named The First 5 Minutes. I heard about a brilliant but simple principle some years ago that I never forgot. His thesis was based on the concept of the first 5 minutes, describing the way people relate to each other. Everything they do for hours is influenced by the first moments they spend together. For example, a speaker is given very few moments to convince his audience that he really does have something worthwhile to say. If he's boring or stilted in the beginning, his listeners will begin thinking about something else, and the orator will never understand why. If he hopes to use humor during his speech, he would better say something funny very quickly, or his audience won't believe he can make them laugh. The opportunity of the moment is lost. Closer to home, the first 5 minutes of a morning determine how a mother will interact with her children on that day. A snarl or a complaint as the kids gather for the breakfast will sour their relationship for hours. And when a man arrives home from work at the end of the day, the way he greets his wife will influence their interactions throughout the evening. If he mutters, "Not tuna casserole again," the relationship will be put on the edge from then to bedtime. Unfortunately, when we have been apart from those we love, we have an opportunity to reset the mood. A little sensitivity when coming back together can produce surprising benefits. It all depends on the first 5 minutes. Now, this one was interesting article, and I do agree with this author. I mean, everything this author is writing so far, I really love it, and it's just written with so much wisdom. Yes, it's true. When I was little, there was a teacher. She always used to say, "The morning sows the day," and she used to say this for any child, and she'll say that how the child will grow up and become something sows in the childhood, that how child is attending to the class and learning and representing, and that's how it's going to be later in life. And that is so true. And same thing with how as soon as someone arrives, you could see in a room, like when somebody walks in a room, people are having meeting, and if that person is really grumpy, that sort of makes everybody act grumpy. And if that person walks in with a lot of love and happiness and like brighten up the room, the same way when people wake up, if somebody's really cranky and angry, it just makes the person in front very cranky and angry. It's so contagious. Like you see somebody laughing in TV, you wanna laugh. You see somebody crying, you wanna cry. And the same way every other thing. So people usually tend to do things they see others, and they're so much influenced by it. In a way that's good, and in a way that's bad too, because you see somebody having a bad day, very cranky, they walk in a room, they make everybody angry, cranky, sad, depressed. And then also the children who came home from school and they saw their parents happy, then they become happy. But if they see parents fighting and angry, then let's make them that kind of a person too. So yeah, it's so contagious, every behavior. So I do agree. I'm not going to say just first 5 minutes. I will say that the entire time it depends on another person's mood, and they can change the mood of a place. They can change the mood of another person. Two people could be very happy, and the third people walk in, and that's the sad, grumpy person. And that other person will change the mood of the entire room. So yeah, it is very true. So it's a nice article. The third article, named Chirpy the Parakeet. Author Max Lucado reported a delightful story about a parakeet named Chippy who had a very bad day. It began when the bird's owner decided to clean his cage with a vacuum cleaner. Wow. She was almost finished when the phone rang, so she turned around to answer. Before she knew, Chippy was gone. In a panic, she unsnapped the top of the vacuum and ripped open the bag. There was Chippy, covered in dust and dirt and gasping for air. She carried him to the bathroom and rinsed him off under the faucet. Then, realizing that Chippy was cold and wet, she reached for the hair dryer. Chippy never knew what hit him. His owner was asked a few days later how he was recovering. Well, she replied, Chippy doesn't sing much anymore. He just sits and stares. Have you ever felt like that? 1 minute you are whistling through life, and the next you're caught up in a whirlwind stress. You're running fanatically through the airport and arrive at the gate just in time to see your plane take off. The table is set for guests when we see smoke curling out of the kitchen. This annoyance of life strikes when we least expect them, and they always have us dazed and disoriented. The next time life sucks you into its vortex, hang on and make the best of it. But unlike the experience of Chippy, don't ever let the song go out of your life. I like the article. Yes, well, that is so scary. Must have been really scary for the bird to get sucked into the vacuum cleaner and then being washed under the faucet with cold water. Yeah, poor bird. That is horrible. Well, I remember a story of a parakeet, and this is a real story. So, a friend had a parakeet, and she bought the parakeet, and she loved bird. But her mom had a lot of kids to take care, a big house, and then grandparents. So since the friend bought it, but she never took care of the bird, so mom used to feed the parakeet, give food and water, and every time she had to clean the cage, she would bang the cage many times, and so parakeet didn't like it. And then one day while she was cleaning the cage, and she banged the cage few times before scolding her daughter for not cleaning the cage and not taking care of the bird and letting her do all the work for the bird while she made her buy the bird, which was really expensive that time. So then the parakeet always used to dislike the mother because she banged the cage and very unhappy. Even when she gave food, she was unhappy. So as soon as she opened the cage, the parakeet bit her into the finger, and the finger started bleeding, and then the cage was open and the parakeet ran away. So when the girl came from school, she started crying so much that you let my parakeet go. And the mother is like, I didn't let the parakeet go. Parakeet went big else it bit me. So a lot of times this happens with the pet. People get them and people don't know how to clean them. I mean, the vacuuming the parakeet cage is probably the not wise idea. It's just people need to clean it with a sponge and water, but then have to be very careful because parakeets have long beak and very sharp, and they could get angry and aggressive and bite. So yeah, but I guess people have to wear thick gloves and to clean the cage, and the bird's cage do get very dirty. So yeah, keeping people who think that keeping bird is easy, but it's really not. But I find it very easy to have birds, but you don't have to really own them. You could just get some bird seed and feed the birds outside and have a bird feeder, and there are lots of birds will come, and you really don't have to own them. All you have to do is feed them seeds and sweep outside if they make it dirty, and that's all. That way birds are free up in the sky and you don't own them, and they are not stuck inside a cage, and they can come and go when they please with their friends. And then when it comes to for the birds, the singing going away because the bird went through a trauma, and it's going to take a while for the bird to get better. And same thing with human, they go through a trauma. And but I guess burning the dinner or missing the plane also trauma, but not as much as the bird went through. Bird went got sucked inside the vacuum cleaner. Yeah, it was an interesting article. I like pretty much all the articles I read in this book. This author is really good. Okay, thank you so much. I'll see you with many more. Bye bye.